Okay, we are live.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. I am Mustafa Javed. I'm the manager of the IT Green Society and Environment Chair of Rotary District 3271. I welcome you all to this discussion on climate education and the role young people have to play in this climate crisis, especially in light of COVID 19, which we will be having a discussion on. Young activist Iman Khan has started this journey at a very young age to raise awareness on this issue and has been making a great effort in resolving it and spreading awareness about it. We are being joined by a dedicated set of panelists who will be having a discussion around the climate issue and we'll be discussing the role that the youth has to play in terms of entrepreneurship, literature, sustainability, and what is the way forward in this post COVID world. Furthermore, I would like to invite our panelists for starting this discussion. We are being joined by Durla Tok, who is the founder and director at Youth Embassy, a youth-led movement that is bringing SDGs to all. He's working in the crossroads of impact, technology, and sustainability for the last 3 years. His efforts have been recognized by organizations such as the United Nations, World Economic Forum, and UNDP. Also joining us is Manu, who's a radio broadcaster at Karachi FM 96 and radio scriptwriter. She's also an NLP practitioner and mind sciences counselor. We also have Anelli, our speaker, who is the co-founder at Parkware, a company and a science hub where sustainable strategies for forestry are developed. Nature filming and tourism are also being discussed. She is a disruptor, lecturer, and environmental engineer. She is an advisory member, board member, and project coordinator for sustainable tourism at Pakistan Sweden Business Council, and a senior partner and consultant in projects related to SDGs at the Global Management Consultants in Dubai. So, thank you all for joining us. We will be starting our discussion in terms of how important this issue is for our youth, especially in Pakistan, especially worldwide, where this issue is getting a lot of light in terms of our young activists. We have Greta discussing this issue, we have Iman talking about it in Pakistan. We have different youngsters joining us from all over the world who are shedding light on this very issue. In terms of awareness in climate education, I would like to start off with a panelist to discuss and build upon the narrative for our youth to take lead on this crisis. So, my first question is that in times of our post-COVID world, in times of this climate issue getting that kind of attention, what is the way forward for our youth to kind of have a sustainable approach in terms of resolving this issue? So, Anelli, I would really like your insight on how our youth can play a role in terms of resolving this issue or taking lead on it in terms of climate education.
Yes, thank you. Thank you also for having me here. Yes, I believe, first of all, that climate change knows no borders. And I feel, since I was a little girl, that I have to shoulder a kind of responsibility for sustainable development. Because I am the first generation to experience the change, but I'm also the last generation who can do something about it. And that's why I'm addressing the young people, because it's all about education. And education for climate change can take part in many, many ways. It can be handled out in so many ways. For example, the schools. It's so important that we kind of have curriculums that really address these issues, to have the basic understanding what kind of mechanism that drives climate change. Because climate change is not just one thing. It's so many terms you need to take into account that drive the climate change. So at Pack Forest, we have recently started to invite youngsters to to learn about nature, to be a shadow of a forest guard, for example, for 2 hours to just look into the nature and see what kind of the ecosystems looks like and how important it is to really get this deeper knowledge from start.
All right. Thank you, Nadi. Zainab, I would like you to build up on the same narrative and discuss the way forward for our youth in terms of climate education and sustainability, where they can take lead on this crisis, especially in respect to the work that you've done and the experience you have.
Thank you, Sabha. It's lovely to be here again. Thank you for the invitation. So, in my own experience, right, like I have worked with quite a few young people across Pakistan as well as internationally, right? So, one thing I would like to emphasize is again building on what Anili said, is on primary education, right? Like we are not teaching our young generation anything about climate change from probably from scientific perspective. Yes, that there might be some areas that they are getting some knowledge on in their science classes, but apart from that there aren't any practical examples, right? So these are really really important. You talked about Greta, right? So she has been like a lightning rod movement for across the world, creating a very strong change where young people across the world have basically said, okay, enough is enough. We would be the generation to feel the effect of climate change firsthand, right? So I think education and awareness is really important, but at the same time, I think practical stuff has to be on the priority list as well, right? Because we need to teach our youngsters that, okay, how you can be sustainable, how you can avoid plastics, right? They're very, very harmful. Like we are seeing very horrific statistics, for example, by 2060, like there will be more pieces of plastics in the ocean than there would be fishes, right? So that is very, very um, harmful statistics. So as like at the same time, educational awareness and as well as practical implementable stuff that any young person can take in their life. So I think these two should go hand in hand.
Anam, would you like to add to that?
Are you asking me because I have a bad quality of the sound again? Did you ask me?
No. Anam, would you like to build up on this narrative around how the youth can take lead in terms of climate education and what is the way forward regarding it?
First of all, thank you so much for Sabah for inviting me here. देखो यूथ का पाकिस्तान में बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट रोल है, ठीक है। अगर हम ओवरऑल बात करें तो आई थिंक जो बच्चे हैं हमारे, जो हमारी यूथ है, वो बहुत ही अमेजिंग काम कर सकती है, बहुत अमेजिंग काम कर रही है। लाइक मैं आप लोगों को देख रही हूँ, यू आर पीपल जो आप जैसे बच्चे हैं जो कि बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन इन बातों को हमें बातें करनी तो लाइक सिर्फ हमें अगर हम बातें करेंगे तो उससे बात नहीं बनेगी। हमारे पास ईमान है, हमारे पास बहुत सारे ऐसे बच्चे हैं जो भी आपको देखेंगे। हमें प्रैक्टिकली क्या-क्या चीज़ें ऐसी करनी है जिससे ओवरऑल हम अगर बात करनी हो तो ऑल अबाउट क्लाइमेट एजुकेशन। सो वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस कि हमें प्रैक्टिकली क्या कुछ करना है ताकि हम ओवरऑल अगर हम ग्लोबलाइजेशन की बात करें या अगर हम ग्लोबली देखें तो क्लाइमेट में बहुत सारी तब्दीलियां आई हैं, ठीक है। अब स्टूडेंट्स को ये बातें पता हैं, यूथ को ये बातें पता हैं, बट स्टिल वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस। हमें इसके ऊपर ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बात करने की ज़रूरत है, अवेयरनेस के प्रोग्राम्स करने की ज़रूरत है कि हमारी ओवरऑल क्लाइमेट की जो कंडीशन है, जो प्लैनेट की कंडीशन है वो मेरे और आपके हाथों में है। लाइक हम ये कह सकते हैं कि मैं और आप अगर प्लास्टिक का कंजम्पशन कम करें, अगर अपनी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को बचाएं, अगर प्लांटेशन पे ज़्यादा ध्यान दें अपने एरियाज़ में, मैं बिल्कुल इसको कंक्लूजन करके बताऊंगी बिकॉज ऑफ कोर्स बहुत सारे और लोग हैं जिनको बात करनी है। अपने एरियाज़ में हम प्लांटेशन का इंतज़ाम कर सकते हैं, राइट। हम इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को बचा सकते हैं। आपको पता है कि एक हमारी बड़ी जिसे बहुत सारे लोगों को पता होगा, जैसे हम कहते हैं CO2, एक ऐसी गैस जो है वो प्लैनेट की तरफ से निकलती है। अगर मैं इसको बहुत आसान में कहूँ, देयर आर सर्टेन थिंग्स जो उस गैसेस को बढ़ाती हैं। लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल कंजम्पशन किस चीज़ की, अगर हम गाड़ियों का इस्तेमाल कम कर दें, बिला ज़रूरत गाड़ी की जगह अगर हम वॉक करें तो वो ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है। अगर हम बाईसाइकिल की राइड ले लें तो वो ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। जितना भी गाड़ियों से पोल्यूशन निकल रहा है वो कहीं ना कहीं, जिसे दूसरे लफ्जों में बहुत सारे लोग ग्रीन इफेक्ट जो है जनाब वो गैसेस भी कहते हैं, CO2 के नाम से वो बहुत फेमस है, बच्चे अपने कोर्स की बुक्स में भी उसको पढ़ते हैं। हम भी प्रैक्टिस बच्चों को या अपने स्टूडेंट्स को ये सिखाते हैं CO2 की कंजम्पशन को या CO2 की जो गैस है उसकी गैस को उसको हमने कम करना है। उसके कम करने के बहुत बेसिक तरीके हैं। कार्स का इस्तेमाल कम, गाड़ियों का इस्तेमाल हमें कम करना चाहिए। हमें कोशिश करनी चाहिए कि हम हेल्थी लाइफस्टाइल पे आए, क्योंकि ग्लोबली जब से ये चीजें हमारे प्लानेट पे या ओवरऑल अगर हम देखें तो हमारा जो टेम्परेचर रिजन हुआ है, ठीक है, तो हमारा पूरी दुनिया में देखा जाए अगर, वो इसीलिए हुआ है क्योंकि हमारे लाइफस्टाइल उससे बहुत इफेक्ट हो रहे हैं। लाइफस्टाइल क्यों इफेक्ट हो रहे हैं? क्योंकि हम अपनी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को नहीं बचा रहे, क्योंकि हम अपनी प्लांटेशन पे गौर नहीं कर रहे, क्योंकि जो खाना हम खा रहे हैं उसमें ज्यादातर जो हमारा यूजेज है वो है प्लास्टिक। तो ये तमाम छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं जो अगर हमारी यूथ, हमारे बच्चे स्टार्ट करेंगे तो ऑफ कोर्स बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसी हैं जो बेहतर हो सकती हैं। यहाँ एक छोटी सी चीज और ऐड करूंगी, बिकॉज आई एम अ प्रैक्टिशनर आल्सो एंड माय वर्क इज ऑल अबाउट मेंटल हेल्थ, माइंड साइंसेज। ये चीज हमारी रिसर्च में भी पता चलती है कि जब ओवरऑल क्लाइमेट चेंज होता है, जब ओवरऑल प्लानिट का टेम्परेचर रिजन होता है, बढ़ जाता है, तो सो मेनी रीजंस, चाहे उसमें कोई भी और कोई भी रीजन हो, उससे जितने भी लोग इस दुनिया में हैं, प्लानिट में हैं, उन सब की मेंटल हेल्थ भी बैडली इफेक्ट होती है एंड हो रही है। तो बेसिकली ये बहुत बेसिक चीजें हैं जो मैं आज डिस्कस कर रही हूँ, जो हम सबको करनी चाहिए। एंड सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज ये कि हमें, चाहे वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी हो, चाहे वो प्लास्टिक हो, चाहे वो हमारा जो सिंपल सादा लाइफस्टाइल है, जैसे मैंने अगेन आपको कहा कि हम कोशिश करें कि गाड़ियों का इस्तेमाल कम करें, वॉक ज्यादा करें, बाइसाइकिल ज्यादा करें, कोशिश करें कि ग्रीनरी में ज्यादा रहें। उसके साथ साथ एक सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज जो मुझे और आपको प्लैनेट के लिए करनी है, बिकॉज प्लैनेट को अगर मैं और आप चाहते हैं कि ये वर्ल्ड क्लाइमेट जो है ये बेटर हो जाए, एक चीज है, द प्रोसेस ऑफ योर थिंकिंग, द वे वी थिंक। जिस तरह से आज हमारी यूथ, हमारे बच्चे, इवन हम सब, एक अगर हम पॉजिटिव थॉट इस यूनिवर्स में भेजते हैं, इस प्लैनेट में भेजते हैं, चाहे वो पॉजिटिव थॉट एक छोटा सा पौधे लगाने के साथ ही क्यों ना हो, आप एक छोटा सा सीड लगा रहे हैं, लेकिन अगर आपका थॉट पॉजिटिव है, बिलीव मी, इट वर्क्स लाइक, ये आपको अंदाजा नहीं है कि ये वंडर्स कर सकता है। सो हर बच्चा, यूथ में हर एक टीनेजर और हर एक ह्यूमन बीइंग अगर अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी समझे कि मुझे और आपको अपने क्लाइमेट की एजुकेशन के बारे में पता भी होना चाहिए, और ये हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि हम अपने प्लानिट को बेटर कर सकते हैं। बेटर जो इसमें मल्टीपल रीजन, ठीक है। आई होप कि ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग बहुत सारे लोगों को समझ आया। थैंक यू सो मच।
Definitely. Thank you, Anam. I think these basic steps are a starting point for our youth and generally for our community as well. But there are a lot of deep layers into which these projects can go into. For example, when we talk about plantations, how urban planning plays a great role where you need to
Right.
landscape the entire, for example, even if it's one piece of land where you're carrying out these plantations, it isn't about how many you plant, but the quantity or the quality of that plantation in terms of monitoring them, in terms of sustaining them over a long time period. And that is where we, I think, internationally, a lot of projects are being executed where these kind of monitoring, this kind of sustainability feasibility reports are formulated to kind of build upon that narrative and spread awareness about it. But I think where we go wrong is where we talk about how much that planning phase or how much that execution needs to go hand in hand. I think, Anelli, you would also, you have expertise in terms of working for forestry in Pakistan, tourism, and on behalf of the Pakistan Sweden Business Council. I think I would like, we all would like your insight on what kind of model would that serve, or what kind of, specialty would that serve in terms of creating a sustainable model for the Pakistani community to follow on, or for our youth to take lead on?
Yes, I agree. We are looking into the methodology that really is kind of sustainable forestry. In Sweden, we have made this research on forestry for so many years because the forest is Sweden's livelihood. We have a forest cover of about 65% in Sweden. while Pakistan has a forest cover of less than 5%. So there's so many things to take into account. I really need to tell you now we have two big plantations coming up in February, March next year around in two areas in KP. And they are already now, we are planning for it and we are looking into the scientific approach because if we go there and plant a lot of trees, they really need to be nurtured in a natural way. We also need to take into account how will this new forest gain water? How will it get water? So there's so many things to take into account. You can't just run out on a site and put down thousands of trees because we have also spoken with the communities and look into the history. What kind of forest did you have here before? So we realized we really need to look into the content of the soil. That's very, very important to start there as well, and also involve the community and look into the history about the forest on these sites. So it's very important to have this really, really scientific methodology to be sustainable because this forest has been livelihoods for people before, and we need to go back to that point again.
So, Nelly, you talked about how Sweden is completely reliant on their forest cover, and Pakistan has a lower one relative to that. So, what are the main limitations that you face when, for example, expanding these projects, or, for example, working on the sustainability of them? Do you face any that kind of act as a hindrance in your way forward?
Yes, there are two things that two problems. Okay, I always see things as possibilities. In fact, there are two possibilities. We need to look into the monetary thing because these things are not for free. It costs a lot of money, and we really need to um, get to get help from also from Sweden, but also, for example, from the World Bank, etc., because this is a global, it will be a global approach. And the second thing is to really, how can I put it in a nice way? But it really need to have a scientific approach. It's very, very hard to get your hands on reliable data in digital form. There are a lot of research that has been done in Pakistan, but we really need to digitize these data, and that is something that we at Tax Forest are looked into because you have a lot of really good data. You have done an amazing research in Pakistan over the years, but these data need to be digitized and we need to get our hands on these data because those data tells us so much how we can proceed in future projects to be sustainable and to regain the forest cover of Pakistan.
Thank you, Nelly, for that insight.
You're welcome.
Durlab, I would definitely like your opinion on how, on behalf of, for example, you've worked at Youth Embassy, you've worked for bringing SDGs in the local community. So, regarding climate action, what in specific is the way forward for our youth in terms of, for example, entrepreneurship, when we discuss how different initiatives are being brought forward, how can they materialize generally in the near future, and what is the platform or the way forward that you can kind of provide for the youth in general that could help facilitate this cause?
Right. So, like as I said in my earlier statement that like I've worked with many young people across the country, right, regionally as well as internationally. One thing that I found is that they like so we have worked with many university students, for example, just to be very relevant, right? So they have all the information that they need on their fingertip to be very practical, right? They have smartphones in their pocket. If they're interested to learn about climate action or climate change, they can literally just find out in a couple of seconds, right? I think the main problem or the bottleneck lies with the actual implementation of what they're bringing up in let's say a hackathon or a competition, right? So it's part way. One, again, we need our local NGOs or a civil society to step up and create those platforms where they can really translate their work into tangible products or tangible projects that can have real life impact in the world, right? That's one way to go about it. At the same time, I think governments should be involved in this heavily, right? So I was actually invited to a consultation session. I think it's been like 3 weeks now in Islamabad. I was invited to this consultation session by the overseeing committee of climate, MOCC, right? It was like the steering committee, the committee that oversees the Minister of Climate Change, and we were talking about, okay, why don't we have any representation from young people over there, right? There were a lot of people there, but there were like 4 or 5 people, including me, that were like considered youth or young people, right? So main thing that I see, um, especially right now, is that the current government, or I would say the national policy, is not trying to engage young people across Pakistan. They are trying to bring in some other NGOs or some other organization in between. I think they really need to step up their game and reach young people across the country directly, rather than using some sort of other mechanism in between, sort of like go through between them and the young people, right? They are doing some excellent work, Billion Tree Tsunami, that they have been doing quite a bit of stuff, but at the same time, they really need to make sure that they are reaching out to young people directly, right? I think that's the one missing link that I see. And the other one I would say is to include more young people, right? I raised this issue with them as well when I was there, that okay, you need to, like, you have to be very proactive about it. Like I should not be reaching out to you, okay, why aren't any young people here? It should be inverse, right? You should be asking me, hey, do you know any young people in your own community that are doing some excellent work that you can invite to such event, right? They have to be really proactive and take the initiative. I think it's a both way. Like NGOs and other organizations, civil society are already doing a good job, but they can probably do more. But at the same time, government has to step up their game. And I think one thing that won't get often talked about is the climate finance, right? So that includes, I don't know, these are just suggestions, right? They can create a fund where they say, okay, we are going to create this annual competition, annual whatever, call it what, like you can frame it whatever, right? And invite young people. We have some excellent minds in this country, right? We have young people who are very active in technology. We have very talented young people who are working in engineering, right? So how can you take that? We always say we have one of the most talented people in like most talented people in the country, right? So why aren't we taking advantage of that? We have so many issues in climate action and other SDGs as well, right? So I think you really need to step up your games. At the same time, make sure there is a platform that can really translate whatever person or a group of people have worked on, and how that can be really implemented in real life.
Thank you so much, Dulab. I think from our panelists, I would request you all to kind of give insight on, for example, the after COVID times, the post-COVID world that we see. What kind of insight do we have regarding how the post-COVID world is going to be in light of this climate issue? Because during COVID times, we saw there was a halt on a lot of things in terms of production, in terms of different variations where the climate was being dealt with in a more sustainable way, and the human element of not having that, or having that limited interaction with nature, that kind of helped it thrive into some extent. And when we talk about the post-COVID world, we talk about how the way forward is going to be, because definitely COVID provided some insight into what is required for our world to kind of deal with this issue in regards to sustainability, in regards to how our actions are kind of having a great impact on the world in general. So in light of that, I would start with Anam. What insight do you have for the post-COVID world to be, and how it is going to happen in terms of, for example, taking those steps that you talked about? So taking the youth into account, taking climate entrepreneurship into account, taking literature into account. What would be the way forward? Anam, you're on mute. Kindly unmute your mic.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Thank you.
So, Sabah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
ओके तो बस ये अगर हम बात करते हैं ओवरऑल सिचुएशन की, बट अगर हम बात करें कि ओवरऑल इस कोविड से बहुत सारी चीज़ों से अगर हमें पता चलता है व्हेन वी काउंट कि बहुत सारे नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट आए हैं, तो उसमें बहुत सारी पॉजिटिव चीज़ें भी हुई हैं। लाइक अभी अशोक आई डोंट मुझे एग्जैक्टली नाम नहीं याद आ रहा, बट इन्होंने कि बेसिकली अगर हम ओवरऑल देखें कोविड इससे हमें क्या मैसेज दिया है, यूथ को कितना ज्यादा फॉर मी एज अ प्रैक्टिशनर, मैं इसको सिर्फ और सिर्फ पॉजिटिव साइड देखती हूँ। बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें, बहुत सारा ऐसा क्रिएटिव एलिमेंट है जो हमारे यूथ के अंदर है, जो इस प्रोसेस निकल के आया है। अगेन मैं एक चीज बात कहूंगी और मैं इसको दोबारा से एंडोर्स करूंगी, बहुत अमेजिंग बात कही है दैट वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस कि हमें इसको गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे ले जाके इसके ऊपर बहुत काम करने की जरूरत है, बिकॉज सो मेनी गुड पीपल, बहुत यूथ है जिसके ऊपर काम कर रही है। एंड ड्यूरिंग दिस कोविड उस चीज को विटनेस कर सकती हूँ, बहुत सारे बच्चों ने, बहुत सारे यूथ ने, बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स ने अपने ओन पे बहुत सारा काम किया है, लेकिन उसको सिर्फ और सिर्फ रजिस्टर करने की जरूरत है। उसके ऊपर थोड़ा सा हम कभी कभी ओवर शेडो कर जाते हैं चीजों को, हमें थोड़ा सा उसको फोकस करने की जरूरत है। तो ड्यूरिंग दिस कोविड जहाँ पे बहुत सारी चीजें नेगेटिवली ओवरऑल अगर देखा जाए, क्लाइमेट पे उसका बहुत असर पड़ा, हम सबकी मेंटल हेल्थ पे उसका बहुत असर पड़ा, लेकिन ऑन द अदर हैंड बहुत ऐसी पॉजिटिव भी आई हैं, जिसमें एक चीज जो मुझे पर्सनली बहुत अच्छी लगी, विच इज द क्रिएटिव साइड ऑफ आवर यूथ, जो कि अंदर कहीं ना कहीं थी, और ड्यूरिंग दिस कोविड पीरियड वो चीज एकदम से बाहर आई एंड हमें पता चला कि ओके फाइन, वी कैन डू दिस आल्सो, वी कैन डू दिस आल्सो, और यहाँ पर हमें काम करने की जरूरत है। सो एक छोटे से मैसेज देके मैं यू नो आई वॉन्ट टू अपनी बात को मैं थोड़ा सा एंड करूंगी, वो यही चीज है कि इस तरह के प्रोग्राम्स को होना बहुत जरूरी है। वो तमाम लोग जो सारे काम कर रहे हैं, बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जो अभी सामने भी नहीं आए हैं, एंड दे आर डूइंग, मतलब बहुत
Anam, your voice is Anam, kindly join the link. Until then, Anali, definitely I would like to ask you the same question in terms of what are the learnings that we can derive from these COVID times, and what will be the way forward for the post-COVID world in regards to climate action?
Definitely, I've seen many examples during the post-COVID time now. For example, there are a few companies here in Sweden that had their production in China, for example. I think there were 2 or 3 companies. These Swedish companies recently decided that it's much better to close down the production and take it back to Sweden. And of course, the first thing that people were asking was, oh, it must be much more, you really need to spend a lot more money. No, in fact, it's not always about the money. Now we really need to think about the climate. And I think that was the first time I heard that a Swedish company saying those words. And this is a huge company. And I said, okay, it's more expensive to take back all the production here to Sweden, but it's about the climate. We really need to take these things into account. And the way forward is I think that look into these things, because if we as a nation in Northern Europe are going to take different kind of products from different places in the world, of course, there's really put a big pressure on the climate, of course. And this is something I think the government also should address to the companies in the country, that hey, you really need to look into these things, because we look at good practices, and I think that's one of the most important steps to when we move forward during post-COVID time, to really look into what have we inside the country. For example, when I come to Pakistan, I see that's not only in Pakistan, it's many countries, but I see so much items that's imported to the country. It's better to work the other way around. So we really need to think about the flow on both services and merchandise and so on. So yeah, important to really think about how do we cause the effect on climate change? Can we do it in a better way? In a better way. Yeah.
Thank you, Nelly. Dulab, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, sure. So I think like in the beginning of this whole pandemic, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of you must have seen some news stories relating to farmers not being able to sell their freshly produced vegetables and fruits, right? So I think COVID has sort of magnified all of those efficiencies. Like the whole food industry or the food ecosystem is you grow something and you get it to the market very quickly, right? And it's not very sustainable. That if there's a little bit of breakdown in middle of it, right, there will be consequences, right? So I think this has been uh, kind of exposed that we need better. We need to create a better process. We need to create this whole ecosystem of just in time products, right? Be it medicine, be it uh, produce, or be it other stuff, right? So I think this has been greatly magnified, and we have like I think we need to move towards sustainable jobs and sustainable, like making sure that all our other industries that are not directly linked with climate change but are affected by climate change. One of them are agriculture. Farmers, for example, would be particularly badly affected due to it, due to drought, urban flooding, all those nasty stuff that are associated with climate change, right? So we need to think about these areas as well, not just direct impact that okay, our glaciers are melting. That's very true. Those are very important issues. But what about people who are sort of affected by all those phenomena, all those areas, right? For example, people would have to migrate from a lot of places because it gets hotter and hotter. So why aren't we talking about those people? How are we going to handle those people, right? Livelihoods are going to be affected. People, particularly living up in north, especially here in Pakistan, right? So why aren't we talking about those? So those areas, and we need to highlight those and start to plan now, right? Because like we all know, this is like the decade of action, right? We have like 10 years to achieve the minimum set requirement that was set by the in 2015, right? I don't see that happening anytime soon. I will be very critical and honest about it. I don't see it happening in the 10 years, probably 20 years. But then we have already seen some of the worst flooding and unexpected rain in Karachi, right? So who's to say that 2021 is going to be any better, especially considering the effects of climate change, right? So I think we need to take a holistic approach. And yeah, these things needs to be talked about, especially after COVID.
Thanks, Dulab. I think that's great insight into how we can take a holistic approach regarding this. Thank you so much, Molly, Dulab, and Anum for joining this discussion. I think it provides great insights for our youth to derive a way forward relative to climate action. Really appreciate you all for being a part of this and adding to this discussion. I would like to invite our young activist Iman Khan to talk about the role the youth can play, that children of her age can play regarding this issue. So, Iman, would you like to say something about it?
Okay, thank you, Sabah. Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Iman and I'm the founder of Iman Peekaboo. Climate change is real, climate change is happening, and we need an urgent climate action. So, when I talk about climate change, mostly people think about global warming. So, let's dive into global warming for a second. Global warming is caused by methane and carbon dioxide, which originates from factories and industries and vehicles. So then this is interconnected to everything. So global warming heats up the glaciers and they melt into the Indus River and then it floods. But the crops which are growing there is irrigated, so you say that's a good thing. But okay, first let's dive into history for a second. The settlements near the Indus River, like Khandara and Mohenjo-daro, mostly farmers planted their crops near the Indus River. So then, when the Indus River flooded, the plants get irrigated, and this is still used. But now it's happening too soon, so the plants which do not need this much irrigation also get destroyed, and then we have less crops and other animals that eat crops like chickens and goats and all those, then they also die out because of less crops, and then that also affects our lives. So then what can we do? We can do small steps, and even small steps together can make a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Iman. Now I'd like to hand over the floor to Danish for further elaborating on this program and introducing it and talking about climate action in general. Danish, can you please unmute your mic?
Assalamu alaikum everyone. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, this is Danish Mustafa, and I'm looking after the technological thing that we have in our learning management system, based on this climate education that we are owing to provide to our Pakistani children. So without wasting my time, let's anytime I'll start the introduction of the LMS. So let me give a second to share my screen first. Okay, please let me know when you can see my screen.
We can see it, Danish.
Okay, that's fine then. Okay, this is the website of Iman's Peekaboo. You can see that it's imanspeekaboo.org. What you need to do is you just type in the address bar of your browser and type Iman's Peekaboo, EMANZPEEKABOO.org. And when you move to that home page, there is a project called Earth Warrior Pakistan. So you need to click on that. So it will take you to this blended learning management system environment. You click on this, click more, and you are redirected to the home page of Iman's Peekaboo, where you can see the login screen. So all the Earth Warriors who are coming in to join our team and taking this course, first they need to create an account. So on this new account tab, they need to put in their name, their email address, the mobile number. They will select the city that is listed here. These are Pakistani cities right now, and the password they need. So when they click on save button, the message will appear, and an email will be sent to their email address that they have provided, in which they will receive the information of their credentials, जिसके अंदर वो अपने email address और password होगा, and they also have an activation link into that कि जब वो activation link पे click करेंगे तो उनका जो user जो उन्होंने create किया है वो activate हो जाएगा system को use करने के लिए. Then they come back to a system where they can put in this the email address. So let me put in here the email address of Iman. And they put in the password and click on login button. तो यहाँ पे इनको ये डैशबोर्ड स्क्रीन के ऊपर लेकर आ जाएगा जहाँ पे वो मॉड्यूल्स जिसके अंदर वो रजिस्टर हुए होंगे और जो स्टार्ट हो गए होंगे वो यहाँ पर मौजूद होंगे. ये वाले वो मॉड्यूल होंगे जिसके अंदर हमारे अर्थ वॉरियर ऑलरेडी इनरोल्ड होंगे और here we have all the upcoming modules for from our organization and in future will be from other organizations as well. उनको वो available होंगे. For that they can enroll themselves. और यहाँ पर ये चीज़ मैं बताते चलूँ कि हम यहाँ पे कोर्सेज हम जो है वो फ्री लॉन्च कर रहे होंगे और विद और सर्टिफिकेशन अगर उसकी रिक्वायर्ड होगी तो वो पेड है, तो दैट विल बी डिस्कस्ड लेटर. So when they come out this module, they have this module. They can view the details of their the module that we have been publishing here. तो वो इस चीज़ की देख सकते हैं. What they need to do is to click on this proceed to dashboard link. जब ये यहाँ पर आ जाएंगे तो ये this is the dashboard. So what they can do there, these are the tasks that we are going to assign them. सारी की सारी टास्क होंगी इसके अंदर, अपने अलग टास्क इनके अंदर होंगे. ये हमारे टॉपिक्स हैं. तो ये टॉपिक्स थ्रू आउट द जर्नी ऑफ द कोर्स वो वन बाय वन करके जो हैं जिस तरह उनकी रेडी होता चला जाएगा मॉड्यूल, वो आगे पोस्ट होते चले जाएंगे और सब यहाँ पे आगे उसको व्यू कर सकेंगे. तो व्यू करने के लिए सबसे पहले सिर्फ उनको कुछ नहीं करना है. ओके, वेदर versus climate, what they need to do, they click on this view task, then all the tasks in particular topic will appear. कि आपने कौन कौन से टास्क हैं जो कवर करने हैं. हमारे पास बेसिक टास्क जो होते हैं.
Danish,
जी,
the screen is stuck on Earth Warrior Pakistan Learn More only. So if you can you kindly reshare?
okay, let me do that. Yeah. Okay, nice.
You can stop sharing and then you can reshare the screen.
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, I'm sharing the full screen now so that you guys can see. Okay, so let me go back again from the start, and I'll do it quickly. So what we have, you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, so when you click on that learn more button, you come here and on this screen, what you do is the user has to create a new account. They have to put in their names, email address, mobile number, the city they'll select, and the password, and then click on the save. When they click on the save, the message will appear here that check your emails. So for the email they provided, they will receive an email there, and that contains a username, the password, and an activation link. So when they click on this activation link, the user that they have created will be automatically activated and they can use the system then. So what they need to do, the link then will redirect them to this sign in page again. What they need to do is put in their email address they have provided and the password, and they just need to click on the login button. And when they click on this, so they will come to a dashboard where they can see the topics or the modules they have registered in. So on top of it, on top of this thing, you will see all the modules that they are enrolled in, and on bottom, all the listed module will be there that we are offering, and they can pick and choose which one they want to enroll in. So they can do that, and it will be from Iman Speakabo, and in near future it will be from other organizations as well. Here we have a view detail link where they can view all the details of that particular module, and what they need to do to access that particular module. They need to click on proceed to dashboard, where they have taken to the dashboard where all the topics that will be covered in that particular module will be shown up. They will come up with time when they are ready to get the new topics information. So right now you have two topics available that have multiple tasks. A task can be of different type. It can be reading, it can be a test, it can be a video to be viewed, it can be an expert talk, it can be an embedded video, it can be a discussion, it can be an assignment. So there are 7 tasks that we have right now. So when they click on this view task button, all the tasks will appear. What they need to do here is if this is the task for reading, it's a notes type. So they click on it. So all the notes that we have developed for that particular topic will appear. So they can read it from top to bottom. Right now it's in English, and in near future it will be available in on all other regional languages of Pakistan. There is a task where you can see how it is explained. So this is a video thing. They will see that. So this will be very easy. You just need to click. So no more putting in information and something like that. So it won't be an issue. So this is how the task viewing and all the thing goes. इसके अंदर मैं एक चीज़ और बताना चाहता हूँ कि हम हर 3 टॉपिक के बाद जो है हम एक टेस्ट रेस कर रहे होंगे जो कि ऑनलाइन ही होगा, जिसके अंदर जो हमारे अर्थ वॉरियर्स हैं उन्होंने जो भी इसमें नोट्स पढ़े होंगे या फिर कोई भी एक्सप्लेनेशन जो हमारी तरफ से उनके साथ शेयर की गई होगी, कोई भी वीडियोस होंगी या जो भी कंटेंट्स होंगे, तो सारी की सारी इंफॉर्मेशन में से फिर हम वो टेस्ट ले रहे होंगे और उन टेस्ट देने के बाद सर्टिफाई करेंगे हम उनको. So there will be 3 टेस्ट in this. हर 3 टॉपिक्स के बाद जो है एक टेस्ट होगा, फिर एक फाइनल टेस्ट हुआ करेगा. There is one more thing कि अगर इस दौरान कोई चीज़ आती है जिसमें अर्थ वॉरियर जो हैं वो हम एक जो है वो डिस्कस करना चाहते हैं कोई चीज़, तो वो इस एक डिस्कशन को स्टार्ट भी कर सकते हैं, और अगर आप डैशबोर्ड पे नीचे देखें तो और भी डिस्कशंस हैं जो कि पहले से स्टार्टेड हैं, उनके ऊपर इंटरेक्टिवली पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हैं. तो जैसे व्हाट इज क्लाइमेट चेंज के ऊपर एक टॉपिक था जो पहले ही किसी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर ने पोस्ट किया हुआ था, एंड दे वांट द वॉरियर और दैट ग्रुप पर्टिकुलर ग्रुप टू पार्टिसिपेट इनटू दैट. सो this is the place where they can participate as well. They can share their own research there or share their links that what they think about that. If there is a question they want to put in that, if they want something to be clarified, they just put in the comment or comment there and on that particular discussion. और यहाँ पे जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर मौजूद हैं, जो बाकी प्रोग्राम एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर मौजूद हैं या कोर्स एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर मौजूद हैं, वो सारे के सारे यहाँ पे आके देख के रिव्यू करके उनको उस चीज़ के ऊपर कमेंट करके एक्सप्लेनेशन दे सकते हैं, या कोई फर्दर किसी किस्म में जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन जो एक्स्ट्रा लगती है जो हमारे कोर्स कंटेंट के अंदर नहीं कवर है, वो भी यहाँ पे शेयर की जा सकती है. सो दिस इज़ वन पार्ट. इसी तरह असाइनमेंट्स भी हैं जो कि दिए जाएंगे, और सेम इसी तरह असाइनमेंट्स जो हैं वो आपको हर 3 टॉपिक के बाद प्रेजेंट किए जाएंगे, और वो 3 टॉपिक के बाद जो असाइनमेंट्स होंगे वो कोई एक वीडियो भी हो सकती है, कोई ग्रुप एक्टिविटी भी हो सकती है, कोई एक फील्ड एक्टिविटी भी हो सकती है. और जितने भी यूजर्स होंगे अर्थ वॉरियर पाकिस्तान के, तो वो इस चीज़ को देखेंगे और देखने के बाद उस चीज़ के ऊपर एक्ट करेंगे और फिर वो असाइनमेंट सबमिट करेंगे. तो जब वो सारे टेस्ट क्लियर कर चुके होंगे, असाइनमेंट्स कंप्लीट कर चुके होंगे, तो उसके बाद उनको सर्टिफिकेट इशू किया जाएगा. सो इट्स नॉट जस्ट लाइक कि इन्फॉर्मेशन है जो कि आपके साथ शेयर कर दी, आपने वो पढ़ लिया और फिर उसके बाद बात खत्म हो गई. यू हैव टू बी प्रैक्टिकल एज वेल. So that's about it. And if the users or anyone have other questions, so they can email us at iman@imanspeakaboo.org, where we can answer to them. So that's about it from me.
Thank you so much,
So
Naresh. I hope our climate warriors are listening into this and are keeping note of all this discussion, which is going to be very useful in being aware and being knowledgeable about the climate issue in general. Talking about our climate warriors, let's introduce them. Let me know if you can see my screen. So I would like to introduce our Earth Warriors of Pakistan and welcoming our heroes. So we have Alize Faisal with us, who is 10 years old, Umehani Faisal, who's 8 years old, Muhammad Yaya, who is also one of our climate warriors, Muhammad Rayan, who you can see in this screen, Ghalia Ahmed Sheikh, Muhammad Taha Ashraf, Arsh Mudaber, Arisha Mudaber, Syed Ubaidur Rahman, Mustafa Awan, Muhammad Taha Yasin, Abdul Rafi Yasin, Syed Abdul Hadi, Rumeha, Zoha, Hamza Khan, Mahira Fatma, Haika Wahab, Rafia Wahab, Unaya Abdul Aziz, Tanisha Mujib. I think all our climate warriors will be tuning in live with us, and I definitely hope you all can take a lot from this session. And will make the pledge to save the earth. Definitely, this is a great insight provided by our panelists, provided by our speakers, and I think that our climate warriors will take a good insight from all of this discussion and will be practically working on these initiatives, on keeping up the pace that they've already started to work on regarding this issue, talking about it, writing stories regarding it. And I think that's a great initiative that Iman should to start this off. So over to you, Anila. Thank you everyone for being part of this discussion. Thank you, Iman, for having me here. And Anila, over to you. Who will be closing the session?
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Anila Raza from the Smart Parents of Pakistan. We have collaborated with Iman Speakaboo for this course, and I'm really glad that Iman has taken an initiative for this climate change affair. The scene is that we have seen so much climate change around us, not only in Pakistan but overall the world, obviously. The thing that is required most is that we have to teach our youth most, because they are our future, they are our tomorrow. And as we know that it is not a thing that we can change within few years or within a very limited time. So I guess this is the best thing that Iman and her parents are doing, कि वो बच्चों को लेके जो है वो आगे जा रहे हैं और youth को लेके जो है वो आगे चल रहे हैं. So they will be the future, inshallah ta'ala, or looking forward to this program. We are very glad to be part of this program. Even my own child is also participating in this program. So we are looking forward to it. And inshallah, we will do more. We have also done in the last month a tree plantation drive as well. And we conducted a competition among the children, and they did a brilliant job in that competition. We got around 100 entries where they recycled the products, and they planted the seeds in them, and they planted some really good plants using recycling materials. So let's see what we all will get after that program, and inshallah ta'ala we will be doing much more in near future. Thank you so much everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Same to you.
Thank you for having me, guys.